Have you ever stopped, truly stopped, and asked yourself this question: if your body built itself from a single invisible cell into the magnificent, breathing, pulsating miracle that carries you through this life, why would it ever forget how to restore what has been broken? Think about that for a moment. Let that question settle deep into the chambers of your awareness. There was a time when you did not exist in physical form. There was only intelligence, only a blueprint held in the mind of the infinite. And from that invisible pattern, your heart began to beat, your lungs began to expand, your bones formed with architectural precision that no engineer on earth could replicate. No one taught your body how to do this. No textbook was consulted. No committee held a meeting. The wisdom that built you from nothing is still alive within you at this very moment. It has not retired. It has not grown old. It has not lost its power. It is waiting, with infinite patience, for you to stop interfering with it and start cooperating with it. Tonight, you are going to receive a teaching that many who have heard it say changed the entire direction of their physical experience. You are going to learn how the subconscious mind, that deep and sacred layer of your being, is a master architect of every cell, every organ, every system in your body, and how your conscious thoughts, your beliefs, your habitual feelings have been sending it instructions every single day, instructions it has faithfully obeyed whether they led toward vitality or toward decline. You are going to discover that healing is not something you chase. It is something you allow. It is not something that comes from outside you. It rises from within you the moment the inner conditions are made right. If this is your first time hearing a teaching like this, I want you to subscribe to this channel right now. Press that subscribe button as a declaration that you are ready to receive wisdom that operates at a level most people never access. Press the like button not merely as a gesture, but as an act of faith, a silent agreement between you and the infinite that you are open, that you are willing, that you are ready to be transformed. And in the comment below, write these words: "My body knows how to heal, and I trust the wisdom within me." Write those words and watch what begins to shift in your awareness. You are not just watching a video. You are entering a sacred classroom, and the teacher is already alive inside you. Let us begin. There is a principle so fundamental, so deeply woven into the fabric of existence itself, that once you truly understand it, you will never again look at your body the same way. You will never again look at illness the same way. You will never again look at pain, discomfort, fatigue, or any form of physical limitation the same way. This principle does not belong to any single religion, any single philosophy, any single tradition. It belongs to life itself. It is written into the very structure of your cells. And it is simply this: the intelligence that created your body is the same intelligence that sustains your body, and it possesses within itself the complete knowledge and power to restore your body to its natural state of harmony, vitality, and wholeness. Now I want you to sit with that truth for just a moment before we go further. I am not presenting you with a theory. I am not offering you a hopeful idea that might or might not prove itself. I am pointing you toward a law, a principle that operates with the same consistency and reliability as the law of gravity. When you drop an object, it falls. It does not fall sometimes. It does not fall only for certain people. It does not fall only on Tuesdays. It falls every single time, for every single person, in every single circumstance, because it is a law. And the law of the subconscious mind as it relates to your body operates with that same unwavering consistency. The subconscious mind controls every involuntary function of your body. It regulates your heartbeat. It manages your digestion. It oversees the replacement of millions of cells every single day. It orchestrates the production of hormones, the flow of blood, the firing of nerves, the rhythm of your breathing while you sleep. You do not consciously perform any of these functions. You do not lie in bed at night and remind your heart to keep beating. You do not send a memo to your liver instructing it to filter toxins. These processes happen automatically, ceaselessly, brilliantly, because they are governed by a mind that never sleeps, never rests, and never forgets how to do its work. This is the subconscious mind. And when you begin to grasp the sheer magnitude of what it is already doing for you in every moment of your existence, you will begin to understand why the great teachers throughout history have pointed to it as a seat of all healing power. The scripture says in Proverbs 4 verses 20 to 22, "My son, attend to my words, incline thine ear unto my sayings. Let them not depart from thine eyes, keep them in the midst of thine heart. For they are life unto those that find them, and health to all their flesh." Notice the precision of that passage. It does not say these words are life to the spirit only, or peace to the emotions only. It says health to all their flesh. The ancient writer understood something that modern humanity is only now beginning to rediscover, that the words you hold in the midst of your heart, which is to say the beliefs and convictions you maintain in your subconscious mind, have a direct and measurable effect upon the condition of your physical body. Your flesh responds to the content of your deep mind. This is not metaphor. This is not poetry alone. This is a description of how the system works. Let me share with you the experience of a woman I shall call Margaret, because a story illustrates this principle with striking clarity. Margaret was a school teacher in her late 50s who had been living with chronic pain in her lower back for nearly 11 years. She had consulted numerous professionals. She had undergone various treatments and protocols. Some provided temporary relief, but the pain always returned, sometimes worse than before. By the time Margaret encountered the principles of the subconscious mind, she had resigned herself to the belief that her condition was permanent, that it was simply part of aging, part of a genetic inheritance, part of who she was now. And that belief, that resigned acceptance of limitation as her identity, was the very thing that kept the condition anchored in her experience. You see, the subconscious mind does not argue with you. It does not evaluate the quality of the instructions you give it. It does not say, that belief is inaccurate, so I shall override it. No, it accepts what you impress upon it with feeling and conviction, and it proceeds to express that impression through the only instrument it has, your body, your circumstances, your life. When Margaret truly believed at the subconscious level, that her pain was permanent, her subconscious mind received that as a directive, and it faithfully maintained a condition that matched the belief. Not because it wanted her to suffer, not because it was cruel or indifferent, but because it was doing exactly what it was designed to do, bringing her outer experience into alignment with her inner conviction. When Margaret began to understand this, something shifted in her awareness. She did not change her outer routine dramatically. She did not embark on any new external protocol. What she changed was a conversation she was having with her own deeper mind. Each night before sleep, she would close her eyes, relax her body as completely as she could, and gently repeat a simple phrase. She would say quietly to herself, "The infinite healing presence within me is restoring my back to perfect wholeness. I am grateful for the healing that is taking place now." She did not say this with strain. She did not say it through gritted teeth. She said it the way you would tell a trusted friend a simple truth. Calmly, quietly, with feeling but without force. And here is the element that many people miss when they attempt to apply this principle. Margaret did not merely say the words. She felt them. She allowed herself to imagine, even if only for a few moments each night, what it would feel like to wake up without pain. She dwelled in the sensation of freedom, of ease, of bending and moving without restriction. She did not try to force a picture. She simply rested in the feeling as one rests in a warm bath. And over the course of several weeks, something began to change. The pain, which had been her constant companion for over a decade, began to diminish. Not all at once, not in a dramatic flash, but steadily, consistently, unmistakably. Within 3 months, Margaret reported that she was experiencing days entirely free of discomfort for the first time in 11 years. Within 6 months, the condition that she had believed was permanent had faded to such a degree that she rarely thought about it at all. Now I tell you Margaret's story not to make any promise about any specific outcome for any specific condition. Every individual is unique. Every situation carries its own factors. But the principle that operated in Margaret's experience is universal. It is the same principle that operates in your experience right now, whether you are aware of it or not. Your subconscious mind is always listening. It is always receiving impressions. And it is always working to produce in your body and in your life the conditions that match those impressions. The question is not whether this principle is active. The question is, what instructions have you been giving it? Let us go deeper into the mechanics of this process, because understanding the mechanics transforms this from a vague spiritual idea into a practical, usable tool that you can apply tonight, that you can apply this very hour. The conscious mind is a thinking mind. It is a mind you use to analyze, to reason, to evaluate, to choose. It is the gatekeeper. It stands at the threshold between the outer world and the inner world, and its primary function is to decide what impressions shall be allowed to pass through to the subconscious. Now here is where most people unknowingly sabotage their own well-being. They allow the conscious mind to be dominated by fear, by worry, by the constant rehearsal of negative possibilities. They watch reports that fill them with anxiety about their health. They listen to conversations that reinforce beliefs about decline and deterioration. They lie in bed at night and review every symptom, every ache, every concern, turning them over and over in the mind like a person polishing stones of worry until they gleam with terrible clarity. And each of these mental rehearsals is an impression. Each one is a message being sent down into the subconscious mind. And the subconscious, faithful servant that it is, receives these messages and says, "Yes, I understand. You want more of this. I shall provide." This is not punishment. This is not cosmic cruelty. This is law. And like all laws, once you understand how it works, you can begin to use it deliberately, consciously, and constructively. The great teacher said in Mark 11, verse 24, "Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them." Read that passage again in the light of what we are discussing. Believe that ye receive them. Not believe that you might receive them. Not believe that you will receive them someday if you are lucky. Believe that ye receive them. Present tense. Accomplished fact. The instruction is to enter into the feeling of the wish fulfilled before the evidence appears in the outer world. This is a secret that the wise have known throughout all ages. The feeling of the answered prayer, held in the subconscious mind with conviction and faith, becomes a mold into which the creative power of the infinite pours itself, taking the shape of that mold and expressing it in tangible form in your life. Consider the experience of a man I will call Daniel. Daniel was a long-distance truck driver in his mid-40s who began experiencing episodes of extreme fatigue and difficulty breathing during his routes. These episodes frightened him deeply, and in his fear, he began to imagine the worst possible outcomes. Night after night, he lay awake constructing mental scenarios of catastrophe. He saw himself unable to work. He saw himself dependent on others. He saw his family struggling. And the more he dwelled in these visions of dread, the more his symptoms intensified. His body was responding not to an external invader, but to the internal atmosphere that Daniel himself was creating. When Daniel was introduced to the idea that his subconscious mind might be amplifying a condition through the channel of his fearful thoughts, he was skeptical. He was a practical man, a man of the road, a man who trusted what he could see and touch and measure. But he was also desperate. And sometimes desperation is a doorway through which wisdom finally enters. Daniel began a simple practice. Each evening, before sleep, he would spend 10 minutes in a state of deep relaxation. He would breathe slowly and deliberately, allowing his body to release the tension it had accumulated throughout the day. And in that relaxed state, he would speak directly to his subconscious mind, not with elaborate language, not with complex affirmations. He would simply say, "The power that made my body is healing my body now. I breathe easily. I am strong. I am well." He would repeat this gently, feeling the truth of the words, allowing them to sink below the surface of conscious thought into the fertile soil of the deeper mind. Daniel also did something else that many people overlook. He stopped feeding his conscious mind with images and information that contradicted his desired state. He stopped researching every possible ailment online. He stopped discussing his symptoms with anyone who would respond with fear or pessimism. He did not deny that he was experiencing discomfort. He simply refused to give that discomfort the power of his sustained attention and emotional energy. He redirected the river. He chose to nourish the vision of health rather than the vision of disease. Within weeks, Daniel noticed a change. His breathing eased. His energy returned. The episodes of fatigue became less frequent and less severe. Within a few months, he was driving his routes with vitality he had not felt in years. Daniel did not perform a miracle. He cooperated with one. The miracle was already present within him, waiting within the intelligence of his subconscious mind, waiting for the obstruction of fear and negative belief to be removed so that the natural current of life and health could flow freely once again. I want to speak now about a concept that is absolutely essential to understanding how your body heals from the inside, and it is this: your subconscious mind does not know the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a physical one. This has been observed time and again in the realm of human experience. When you imagine a frightening scenario, your heart rate increases, your palms sweat, your muscles tense. Nothing is actually happening to you in the physical world. You are sitting safely in your chair, but your body responds as though the imagined event is real. Why? Because the subconscious mind, which controls the body's responses, receives the imagined experience as though it were actually occurring. Now turn that principle around. If the subconscious mind responds to imagined fear as though it were real, producing real physical symptoms of stress and tension, then it must also respond to imagined health, imagined vitality, imagined wholeness as though those states were real, producing real physical conditions of ease, strength, and well-being. This is the key. This is the lever that moves the world of your physical experience. When you learn to imagine health with the same vividness and emotional intensity that you once imagined illness, you hand your subconscious mind a new blueprint, and it begins to build according to that blueprint with the same faithfulness and precision with which it once built according to the old one. The process I am describing to you is not instantaneous for most people, and I want to be honest with you about that. There is often a period between the planting of a new seed and the appearance of the harvest. This period is not a sign of failure. It is not evidence that the principle does not work. It is a natural gestation period that all seeds require. When a farmer plants wheat, he does not dig up the seed the next morning to check if it is growing. He trusts the process. He trusts the soil. He trusts the intelligence within the seed itself. And he waits with patient confidence for the harvest that he knows is coming. You must adopt the same attitude toward the seeds you plant in your subconscious mind. Trust the process. Trust the soil of your deeper awareness. Trust the intelligence that is infinitely greater than your conscious understanding. And wait with patient, joyful expectation for the manifestation that the law guarantees. Jesus said in Matthew 7, verse 7, "Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you." There is no ambiguity in that statement. There is no fine print. There is no list of exceptions. Ask, and it shall be given. The asking that the teacher refers to is not mere verbal requesting. It is the asking of the deep mind. It is the establishment of conviction, a feeling, a settled belief in the subconscious that the thing desired is already accomplished in the invisible realm, awaiting only its natural unfoldment into visible expression. When you ask in this manner, with feeling, with faith, with a quiet inner certainty, the subconscious mind receives the impression and immediately begins the work of bringing it into manifestation through channels and means that the conscious mind could never anticipate or arrange. Let me tell you about a young woman named Clara. Clara was a university student studying architecture when she began to experience persistent headaches that affected her ability to concentrate, to study, to attend her classes with full engagement. These headaches arrived without apparent pattern and lingered for days at a time, leaving Clara exhausted and discouraged. She was a brilliant student with tremendous potential, but she began to fear that her condition would prevent her from completing her degree. A professor whom Clara respected, a woman who had quietly studied the principles of mind for many years, took Clara aside one afternoon and said something that changed the trajectory of Clara's experience. She said, "Clara, your body is not your enemy. It is your most faithful servant. It is responding to something within you, and when you discover what that something is and change it, your body will change with it." Clara began to examine her inner life with the same careful attention she brought to her architectural drawings. She discovered that beneath her conscious ambitions and her outward confidence, there was a deep current of anxiety, a persistent feeling that she was not truly capable, that she would ultimately fail, that the success she desired was meant for others but not for her. This belief had been with her since childhood, planted by careless words from an authority figure who told her she was not as smart as her siblings. Clara had consciously rejected that assessment years ago, but the subconscious mind had held on to it quietly, faithfully, and it was expressing that inattention to the only channel available, her body. Clara began to work with the principle of pre-sleep impression. Each night, in the drowsy state just before sleep, she would visualize herself sitting at a desk, clear-headed, focused, brilliant, working on her designs with ease and joy. She would feel the satisfaction of completing a project. She would hear, in her imagination, her professors praising the quality of her work. She did not try to will her headaches away. She did not fight them. She simply stopped giving them her attention and began giving her attention instead to the vision of the person she knew, in her deepest heart, she was meant to be. The shift was not immediate, but it was steady. Within 3 weeks, the headaches began to reduce in frequency. Within 2 months, they had become rare occurrences rather than daily burdens. By the end of the semester, Clara completed her projects with a clarity and creativity that surprised even her professors. She did not merely recover. She exceeded her own previous standards. Because when you remove the obstruction from the channel, the power that flows through you does not merely restore you to your former level. It lifts you beyond it. The infinite does not do things by halves. Now I want to address something that many people struggle with when they first encounter these teachings, and it is a question of guilt. Some people hear that their thoughts and beliefs have contributed to their physical conditions, and they immediately begin to punish themselves. They say, "Then it is my fault. I have done this to myself." And I want to say to you with absolute clarity and compassion, that perspective is both unnecessary and counterproductive. You did not consciously choose to make yourself unwell. No one lies in bed and deliberately decides to create illness in their body. What happened is that beliefs were absorbed, often in childhood, often from well-meaning but uninformed sources, and those beliefs took root in the subconscious mind and expressed themselves through the body. You were operating under a law that you did not know existed. You were planting seeds without realizing you were planting them. There is no guilt in that. There is only the opportunity for a new beginning. And that new beginning starts the moment you understand the law and begin to work with it rather than against it. Psalm 103 verses 2 to 3 says, "Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgiveth all thine iniquities, who healeth all thy diseases." All, not some, not the minor ones, not the ones that medical science has already addressed. All thy diseases. The psalmist is pointing to a healing power that is total, comprehensive, and limitless. And this power resides not in some distant heaven, not in some remote celestial location, but within the very fabric of your being, within the subconscious mind that is your individual connection to the infinite intelligence that created all things. Let me share with you one more experience that illuminates this principle from a different angle. There was a retired carpenter named Walter who lived alone in a small coastal town. Walter had spent his entire life working with his hands, and in his later years, his hands began to stiffen and ache in ways that made even simple tasks, buttoning a shirt, holding a cup, turning a doorknob, a source of frustration and discomfort. Walter was a man of simple faith. He did not know sophisticated philosophical terminology. He did not study metaphysics or psychology, but he prayed every night with the sincerity of a child, and he believed with absolute conviction that God was present within him and responsive to his faith. One evening, Walter knelt beside his bed and said aloud, "Lord, these are the hands you gave me. They have served me well for 72 years. I trust you to take care of them. I believe your healing power is flowing through my hands right now, making them supple and strong again. Thank you." And then Walter went to sleep with a feeling of peace, a feeling of gratitude, a feeling of quiet expectation. He did this every night for weeks, not with anxiety, not with desperation, with the calm assurance of a man who trusts the ground beneath his feet. Over time, Walter's hands began to loosen. The stiffness that had seemed permanent began to give way to flexibility. The discomfort that had shadowed every task began to fade. Within a few months, Walter was back in his workshop, building birdhouses for his neighbors, his hands moving with a freedom that he had not experienced in years. Walter did not understand the mechanics of what happened. He did not need to. He understood the principle at its deepest level, that the power of God within him, operating through the subconscious mind, was responsive to his faith and his feeling, and that when he entrusted his body to that power with complete confidence, it did what it had always been designed to do. It healed. It restored. It made whole. Your body is not a machine that breaks down and must be repaired from outside. Your body is a living expression of infinite intelligence, sustained in every moment by wisdom that is beyond human calculation. Every second, your body is performing millions of operations simultaneously, replacing cells, fighting foreign substances, regulating temperature, balancing chemistry, repairing tissue, processing nutrients, all without a single conscious instruction from you. The intelligence doing this work is not fragile. It is not uncertain. It is not limited. It is the same intelligence that holds planets in their orbits, that turns seeds into forests, that transforms caterpillars into butterflies. And it lives within you. It is the very life of you. When you begin to appreciate this, truly appreciate it not merely as an intellectual concept, but as a felt reality in your bones and blood and breath, something shifts in your entire relationship with your body. You stop seeing your body as a source of potential problems and begin seeing it as a temple of living power. You stop approaching your health with fear and begin approaching it with reverence and trust. And that shift in perspective, that shift in feeling, that shift in the habitual attitude of your conscious mind sends a new impression down into the subconscious, and the subconscious responds by doing what it does best, creating conditions that match the impression it has received. Isaiah 40 verse 31 says, "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint." To wait upon the Lord, in the context of these teachings, means to rest in the awareness of the infinite presence within you. It means to cease struggling, to cease straining, to cease trying to force outcomes through sheer willpower, and instead to surrender your desire to the deeper mind, trusting that the intelligence which governs the universe is more than capable of governing the restoration of your body. Those who learn to wait in this manner, who learn to rest in faith, who learn to hold their vision of wholeness with quiet persistence, discover that their strength is renewed in ways they could not have predicted or engineered. They mount up with wings as eagles, rising above the limitations that once seemed so solid, so permanent, so defining. I want to plant something in your awareness now that I hope you will carry with you through every remaining moment of your life. You are not a body that has a mind. You are a mind that has a body. The mind came first. Consciousness came first. Intelligence came first, and the body is the product, the expression, the outpicturing of what that mind holds within itself. When you change the content of the mind, you change the expression of the body. This is a secret that has been whispered through the ages by every great teacher, every prophet, every healer, every saint who understood the relationship between the inner world and the outer world. You have within you, at this very moment, a power so vast, so comprehensive, so perfectly designed for the task of healing and restoring and renewing, that if you could see it with your physical eyes, you would weep with gratitude. You would fall to your knees not in weakness, but in wonder. You would never again utter a word of fear about your body, because you would know, with a certainty beyond all doubt, that the power dwelling within you is infinitely greater than any condition, any symptom, any limitation, any diagnosis, any label that the outer world could ever place upon you. This power does not need your help. It needs your trust. It does not need your effort. It needs your faith. It does not need your understanding. It needs your feeling. Feel yourself well. Feel yourself whole. Feel yourself vital and strong and overflowing with life. Feel it now. Feel it tonight. Feel it every night as you drift into the sacred silence of sleep and let the deeper mind do what it was created to do. You are held in the hands of the infinite. You always have been. You always will be. And the healing you seek is not something you must go out and find. It is something that is already rising within you, like a spring of living water, waiting only for you to remove the stones of doubt, the debris of fear, the dam of unbelief, so that it may flow freely and fully into every cell, every tissue, every organ, every system of your magnificent, sacred, divinely created body. Rest in that truth tonight. Let it be the last thought you hold as your eyes close. Let it be the feeling that carries you into sleep. And know, with every fiber of your being, that the power within you is already at work, already healing, already restoring, already making all things new. There is a passage in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 33, verse 3, that speaks with extraordinary directness to the heart of what we are exploring together. It says, "Call unto me, and I will answer thee, and show thee great and mighty things, which thou knowest not." Consider the weight of that promise. Call unto me, and I will answer thee. Not I might answer. Not I will consider your request. Not I will answer if certain external conditions are met. I will answer thee, and more than that, I will show thee great and mighty things which thou knowest not. Things beyond your current knowledge. Things beyond your present understanding. Things that your conscious, reasoning, analytical mind could never discover on its own. The intelligence within you, the infinite healing presence that operates through your subconscious mind, possesses knowledge and capability that far exceeds anything your conscious awareness can comprehend. And when you call upon it with sincerity, with faith, with a quiet conviction of one who knows that the answer already exists within the question, it responds. It always responds. It cannot do otherwise, for responding to the impression of your belief is its very nature. Now let us build upon the foundation we established and move into even deeper territory, because understanding a principle intellectually is one thing, but embodying it, living it, breathing it until it becomes as natural to you as your own heartbeat, that is where the true transformation occurs. And the area I wish to explore with you now is perhaps the most important and least understood aspect of this entire teaching. It is the role of surrender in the healing process. Most people, when they hear the word surrender, think of defeat. They think of giving up, of waving a white flag, of admitting failure. But the surrender I am speaking of is the exact opposite of defeat. It is the highest form of power. It is the act of releasing your limited, anxious, controlling conscious mind from a task it was never designed to perform, and entrusting that task to the infinite intelligence that is already perfectly equipped to accomplish it. You do not know how to heal a wound. Think about that honestly. If you cut your finger, you may clean it, you may bandage it, but you do not actually perform the healing. You do not instruct the platelets to clot. You do not direct the white blood cells to prevent infection. You do not tell the new skin cells where to grow and how to knit themselves together. All of that happens entirely without your conscious involvement. And yet it happens with precision and elegance that is breathtaking. The healing intelligence within you knows exactly what to do. Your job is not to do the healing. Your job is to let the healing be done. This is where so many honest, well-intentioned people stumble. They learn about the power of the subconscious mind, and they immediately try to use a conscious mind to force the subconscious into action. They repeat affirmations through clenched teeth. They visualize with such intense concentration that they give themselves headaches. They strain and push and demand results, and then they wonder why nothing changes. And the reason nothing changes is that they have not surrendered. They are still trying to do it themselves. They are still operating from the level of the conscious mind, which is a level of effort, of limitation, of control. And the subconscious mind, which operates on the level of ease, of limitlessness, of flow, cannot be bullied into action. It can only be impressed. And it is impressed most deeply not through effort but through feeling, not through force but through faith, not through tension but through relaxation and trust. Let me tell you about a man I will call Raymond. Raymond was a former athlete, a man who had spent his younger years defined by physical strength and endurance. In his mid-50s, Raymond began to experience persistent discomfort in his knees, the kind of deep, grinding discomfort that made every staircase feel like a mountain and every morning feel like a negotiation between his will and his body. Raymond's identity had been built around his physicality. He was the strong one. He was the capable one. He was the man others called when something heavy needed to be lifted or something difficult needed to be done. And now, confronted with a body that seemed to be diminishing, Raymond felt not merely physical discomfort but existential crisis. Who was he if he could not be strong? Raymond's initial response was exactly what you might expect from a man of his temperament. He fought. He pushed through the pain. He refused to acknowledge it. He forced himself through exercises that left him worse than before. He treated his body like an opponent to be defeated rather than a partner to be respected. And the harder he fought, the worse his condition became. Because the message he was sending to his subconscious mind, through his attitude and his emotions, was one of conflict, of aggression, a war against his own body. And the subconscious mind, receiving this message of inner conflict, expressed it faithfully as increased inflammation, increased tension, increased pain. It was Raymond's daughter, a young woman who had been quietly studying the principles of mind and spirit for several years, who finally reached him. She said to her father one evening, "Dad, what if you stopped fighting your body and started thanking it?" Raymond looked at her as though she had suggested he learn to fly. But something in her eyes, something in the calm certainty of her voice, caused him to pause. And in that pause, grace entered. Raymond began, awkwardly at first, to practice gratitude toward his body. Each morning, instead of waking up and immediately cataloging his aches and pains, he would lie still for a few minutes and silently thank his body. He would thank his knees for carrying him through decades of living. He would thank his legs for every mile they had walked, every game they had played, every dance they had danced. He would thank his heart for beating faithfully all these years without a single conscious instruction. He would thank his lungs for breathing him through a lifetime of experiences. And as he did this, something within him softened. The aggression dissolved. The fighting stopped. And in its place arose a feeling of tenderness, of partnership, of sacred cooperation between his conscious awareness and the body it inhabited. Raymond then added the practice of pre-sleep impression. Each night, in the gentle drowsiness before sleep, he would imagine himself walking easily, climbing stairs without effort, moving through his day with a fluid grace he remembered from his youth. He did not strain to produce these images. He invited them. He welcomed them. He rested in them the way a man rests in a hammock on a summer afternoon, with ease, with pleasure, with total trust that the hammock will hold him. Over the weeks that followed, Raymond's experience began to shift. The discomfort in his knees, which had been sharp and constant, began to dull and then to recede. His mobility increased. His mornings became easier. His confidence returned. Not the aggressive, forcing confidence of his youth, but a deeper, quieter confidence rooted in the understanding that his strength had never come from his muscles alone. It came from the infinite power within him, the power that had built those muscles in the first place, the power that sustained every function of his body, the power that now, freed from the obstruction of his resistance and fear, could do its restorative work unimpeded. Raymond's experience teaches us something vital. The body responds to the emotional atmosphere in which it lives. If that atmosphere is one of fear, tension, conflict, and resistance, the body contracts, tightens, and expresses dis-ease. If that atmosphere is one of gratitude, trust, relaxation, and peaceful expectancy, the body opens, releases, and moves toward its natural state of harmony and vitality. You are not a prisoner of your physical condition. You are the gardener of the inner atmosphere that gives rise to your physical condition. Change the atmosphere, and the conditions must change accordingly. This is law. Let us speak now about something that I have observed again and again in those who successfully apply these principles, and it is the concept of mental diet. Just as your physical body is affected by the food you eat, the water you drink, the air you breathe, your subconscious mind is affected by the thoughts you think, the words you speak, the images you dwell upon, and the emotional states you habitually entertain. If you spend your days consuming mental poison, fear-based conversations, alarming stories, constant focus on everything that could go wrong with your body, and then spend 5 minutes before bed trying to impress your subconscious with thoughts of health and wholeness, you are planting a few seeds of wheat in a field that has been saturated with salt all day long. The seeds may struggle to take root. The soil has been poisoned by the dominant mental input. This is why vigilance of thought is so important. I am not suggesting that you must become obsessive or fearful about having a negative thought. That would itself be a form of negative thinking. What I am suggesting is that you become aware, gently and persistently aware, of the general direction of your habitual thinking. Where does your mind go when you are not deliberately directing it? What do you think about when you are driving, when you are waiting in line, when you are lying awake in the early hours of the morning? Are those thoughts predominantly creative, hopeful, grateful, and affirming, or are they predominantly worried, anxious, complaining, and fearful? The answer to that question will tell you a great deal about the instructions your subconscious mind is receiving throughout the day. Philippians 4 verse 8 offers a perfect prescription for mental diet. It says, "Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things." Think on these things. Dwell upon them. Marinate your mind in them. Let them become the habitual furniture of your consciousness. When you do this, you are not merely being positive for the sake of positivity. You are scientifically, lawfully, deliberately creating the inner conditions that allow the healing power within you to operate at its fullest capacity. There was a woman named Harriet who understood this principle with remarkable intuitive clarity. Harriet was a seamstress who worked from her small apartment, making alterations and custom garments for people in her neighborhood. She was not a wealthy woman by any material standard, but she possessed a richness of spirit that everyone who met her could feel. Harriet had experienced a period of significant physical challenge in her early 60s, when her eyesight began to diminish to a degree that threatened her ability to continue her work. For a seamstress whose livelihood depended on precise vision, this was not merely a health concern. It felt like an existential threat. But Harriet was a woman of deep inner conviction. She had learned, through her own quiet study and reflection, that the mind within her was connected to a source of power that had no limits. And she applied this understanding with the simple, unshakable faith of a woman who trusted God the way she trusted the sunrise. Each morning, Harriet would sit by her window, close her eyes, and speak softly to the presence within her. She would say, "The light of the infinite shines through my eyes. I see clearly. I see perfectly. My eyes are instruments of divine vision, and they serve me beautifully." She would then open her eyes and go about her day, giving no further anxious thought to her vision. She did not obsess over the condition. She did not monitor it constantly. She stated her truth each morning, felt the reality of it in her heart, and then released it completely into the hands of the deeper mind. Harriet also practiced something that I want to highlight because it is profoundly effective and often overlooked. She would express gratitude in advance. Not gratitude for what had already manifested, though she did that too, but gratitude for the healing she had requested as though it were already accomplished. She would say, "Thank you for my perfect vision. Thank you for eyes that see every stitch, every thread, every color with clarity and precision." She spoke these words not as a future hope, but as a present reality, and in doing so, she impressed upon her subconscious mind the image of completed healing, a fait accompli, an already accomplished fact. And the subconscious mind, which does not distinguish between what is vividly imagined with feeling and what has physically occurred, accepted this impression and began to organize her bodily processes around it. Over the following months, Harriet's experience with her eyesight improved noticeably. She reported greater clarity, less strain, more ease in performing her detailed work. She continued her practice daily, not because she was afraid to stop, but because it had become a joyful part of her morning ritual, a communion between her conscious awareness and the infinite intelligence within her. Harriet's case was not dramatic or sensational. It was quiet, steady, and deeply real. And it illustrates a truth that I want you to carry with you. Healing does not always arrive as a thunderclap. Sometimes it comes as a dawn, gradual, gentle, and unmistakable in its beauty. Now let me speak to those of you who have been applying these principles and have not yet seen the results you desire. I know you are listening. I know your hearts. And I want to say something to you that may be the most important thing you hear in this entire teaching. Do not quit. Do not abandon the seed you have planted simply because the ground has not yet cracked open with new growth. The subconscious mind works in ways and according to timelines that the conscious mind cannot predict or control. There are processes happening beneath the surface of your awareness right now, reorganizations, adjustments, shifts in the deep structure of your beliefs and their physical expression that you cannot see and cannot measure but that are absolutely real and absolutely in motion. Consider the bamboo tree. For the first several years after planting, a bamboo seed shows virtually no visible growth above the surface. A person who did not understand the process might dig up the seed in frustration, convinced that nothing is happening. But beneath the soil, the bamboo is building an extraordinary root system, a foundation so deep and so strong that when the visible growth finally begins, it shoots upward with astonishing speed, sometimes growing several feet in a single day. Your healing may be in its bamboo phase. The roots are being established. The foundation is being laid. The deep structural changes are occurring in the invisible realm of your subconscious mind, and when the time is right, when the inner conditions have been fully prepared, the outward manifestation will come with a speed and completeness that will take your breath away. Your only task during this period is to remain faithful to the vision you have planted. Water it with feeling. Nourish it with gratitude. Protect it from the weeds of doubt and the frost of fear. And above all, trust the process. Trust the law. Trust the infinite intelligence that is conducting the operation. Psalm 46 verse 10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." Be still. Stop striving. Stop struggling. Stop trying to figure out how the healing will come, through what channel, by what mechanism, on what timeline. Be still and know with a deep, settled, unshakable knowing that the God presence within you, the infinite healing intelligence that operates through your subconscious mind, is already at work. It does not need your supervision. It does not need your anxiety. It does not need your constant checking and measuring and evaluating. It needs your stillness. It needs your trust. It needs the open, receptive, expectant quiet of a mind that has released its burden into the hands of a power infinitely greater than itself. Let me introduce you to another principle that works hand in hand with everything we have discussed, and it is the principle of non-resistance. What you resist persists. This is one of the most important truths you will ever learn. When you fight against a condition, when you declare war on a symptom, when you clench your fist and steel your jaw and say, "I will defeat this thing," you are paradoxically giving it more power. You are feeding it with the energy of your attention and emotion. You are making it more real, more solid, more present in your experience. Because the subconscious mind responds to the dominant feeling, and the dominant feeling in a state of resistance is the very thing being resisted. Instead of resisting what you do not want, turn your full attention to what you do want. Do not fight disease. Embrace health. Do not battle weakness. Welcome strength. Do not war against pain. Cultivate comfort. This is not denial. You are not pretending that an unpleasant experience does not exist. You are simply choosing not to get the throne of your attention. You are choosing to dethrone the negative and enthrone the positive. And when the positive occupies the throne of your habitual thinking and feeling, the subconscious mind bows to it and begins to serve it, bringing forth conditions that match the new ruler of your inner kingdom. There was a man named Solomon, not the ancient king, but a modern school teacher from a small town in the heartland of the country, who embodied this principle in a way that deeply moved everyone who knew him. Solomon had been told by medical professionals that a certain condition affecting his digestive system would likely require him to make significant, permanent changes to his daily life. He was given a list of restrictions and limitations, and though he respected the professionals who offered their counsel, something within him resisted the idea that limitation was his destiny. Solomon did not reject the guidance he received. He did not behave recklessly or dismissively. But alongside whatever practical steps he took in the outer world, he maintained an unshakable inner conviction that the intelligence within him was greater than any condition, and that his story was not finished being written. Each day, Solomon would take a walk through the park near his home, and during those walks, he would have what he called his conversations with the infinite. He would speak inwardly, silently, to the presence he felt within and around him. He would say, "I know that you are the author of my body. I know that you have written health into every cell. I trust you to revise whatever has been misprinted. I am open. I am willing. I am grateful." And then he would walk in silence, feeling the warmth of the sun, listening to the birds, breathing deeply, allowing the feeling of wellness and trust to permeate his entire being. Solomon did not visualize elaborate scenes. He did not use complex techniques. He simply walked and talked to the infinite and felt the reality of wholeness in his heart. And over the course of many months, his condition improved to a degree that surprised those who had counseled him about the permanence of his limitations. Solomon's digestive function normalized. His energy increased. His vitality returned. He resumed activities he had been told he might need to abandon. And through it all, Solomon maintained his humility, his gratitude, and his quiet certainty that the power within him had done the work. He had merely cooperated with it by keeping the channel of his belief clear and open. I want to turn now to the subject of sleep, because in the context of healing, sleep is not merely a physical necessity. It is a sacred opportunity. The moments before sleep, that gentle threshold between waking consciousness and the deep waters of the subconscious mind, are the most powerful moments of your entire day for impressing new beliefs and new images upon the deeper mind. In those moments, the conscious mind relaxes its guardianship. The critical faculty softens. The doorway between the two levels of mind opens wide. And whatever thought, whatever feeling, whatever image you hold in your awareness as you pass through that doorway is received by the subconscious with extraordinary receptivity and power. This is why the last thought you think before sleep is infinitely more important than most people realize. If you fall asleep reviewing your symptoms, rehearsing your fears, reliving the difficulties of the day, you are impressing those negative images upon your subconscious mind at the very moment when it is most open and most receptive. And the subconscious will work with those images throughout the night, reinforcing the neural and biological patterns that correspond to them. But if you fall asleep holding a vision of health, a feeling of wholeness, a sensation of gratitude for the healing that is taking place within you, you are impressing upon the subconscious a completely different set of instructions. And throughout the night, while your conscious mind sleeps, the subconscious will work with those instructions, adjusting, restoring, reorganizing, and rebuilding according to the new blueprint you have provided. Psalm 4 verse 8 says, "I will both lay me down in peace and sleep, for thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety." What a magnificent affirmation to carry into sleep. I lay me down in peace. I sleep in safety. The Lord, the infinite intelligence within me, watches over my body through the night. I am held. I am protected. I am being healed even as I rest. Imagine the power of drifting into sleep with those words echoing softly in your heart. Imagine the instructions your subconscious mind receives from that feeling of peace, safety, and divine protection. Imagine what it builds during those hours of sacred rest. There was an elderly gentleman named Arthur who spent the final decades of his long and productive life teaching a small informal class on what he called the night school of the soul. Arthur would gather a handful of neighbors in his living room once a week and share with them the techniques he had discovered for using the pre-sleep state to impress healing thoughts upon the subconscious mind. He would tell them, "What you take to bed with you at night, you wake up with in the morning. If you take worry to bed, you wake up with more worry. If you take fear to bed, you wake up with more fear. But if you take faith to bed, if you take gratitude to bed, if you take a clear, vivid, feeling-saturated image of health and wholeness to bed, you wake up with the beginnings of a new reality forming in every cell of your body." Arthur's students, many of them people who had been struggling with various physical challenges, began to report remarkable shifts in their well-being. One woman, who had been unable to sleep through the night for years due to persistent restlessness and discomfort, found that after practicing Arthur's pre-sleep technique for just 2 weeks, she was sleeping deeply and waking refreshed. A man who had been experiencing chronic tension in his neck and shoulders found that the tension began to dissolve as he practiced releasing his body into a feeling of deep peace each night before sleep. These were not dramatic, headline-worthy events. They were quiet, personal, profoundly real transformations that occurred in the intimate space between a person and their own deeper mind. Arthur himself lived to the age of 94, sharp in mind, gentle in spirit, and remarkably vital in body. When people asked him his secret, he would smile and say, "I have been giving my subconscious mind good instructions every night for 40 years. It has been a faithful student. Now I want to bring our attention to a concept that ties everything together, and it is the concept of unity. Your mind and your body are not separate entities. They are two expressions of one reality. Your thoughts do not occur in some abstract, disembodied realm while your body operates independently below. Your thoughts are events that ripple through every system of your physical being. A thought of fear triggers a cascade of biochemical responses. Stress hormones flood the bloodstream, muscles contract, blood pressure rises, immune function is suppressed. A thought of peace triggers a completely different cascade. Relaxation hormones are released, muscles soften, blood pressure normalizes, immune function is enhanced. This is not theory. This is the observable, demonstrable reality of how your being operates. Mind and body are one system. What affects one affects the other. And the control center, the place where the master switch is located, is the subconscious mind. When you understand this unity, you stop treating your body as a machine and start treating it as a living conversation. Every thought is a word spoken in that conversation. Every feeling is a sentence. Every habitual belief is a chapter. And the story that your subconscious mind is writing in the tissue and chemistry of your body is a story you have been telling it through the accumulated weight of your inner life. If you want to change the story, change the telling. If you want a new chapter, speak new words into the deep mind. If you want a different ending, begin impressing a different plot upon the faithful, receptive, ever-listening intelligence within you. Romans 12 verse 2 says, "And be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Transformed, not adjusted, not slightly improved. Transformed. The word implies a fundamental change in form, a metamorphosis, a total restructuring from the inside out. And the instrument of this transformation is a renewal of the mind. Change your mind, and your world changes. Change your habitual thinking, and your habitual experience changes. Renew the impressions held in your subconscious, and the body that expresses those impressions is renewed along with them. This is a promise of Scripture, and it is confirmed by the experience of countless individuals who have put it to the test and found it true. I want to leave you now with a practice that you can begin tonight. It requires no special equipment, no special training, no special ability. It requires only your willingness, your sincerity, and your faith. And it is this: tonight, when you lie down to sleep, allow your body to relax completely. Do not force relaxation. Simply invite it. Let your feet relax. Let your legs relax. Let your abdomen soften. Let your chest open. Let your shoulders drop. Let your arms go heavy. Let your jaw unclench. Let your eyes rest gently behind closed lids. Take several slow, deep breaths, and with each exhalation, release a little more tension, a little more worry, a little more of the day's accumulated burden. When you feel yourself settling into that soft, drowsy, halfway state between waking and sleeping, bring to your mind a simple image of yourself in perfect health. See yourself doing something that represents vitality and joy to you. Perhaps you see yourself walking briskly through a beautiful garden, breathing deeply, feeling strong and alive. Perhaps you see yourself laughing with people you love, your body light and free, every movement effortless. Perhaps you simply feel a warm golden light filling your body from head to toe, a light of healing and restoration, a light of infinite intelligence pouring into every cell, every organ, every tissue, renewing and revitalizing everything it touches. Hold this image gently. Do not grip it. Do not strain to maintain it. Simply rest in it. Let it be the atmosphere of your falling asleep. Let it be the last conscious experience you have before the subconscious mind takes over for the night. And as you drift off, whisper silently within yourself, "Thank you for the healing that is taking place now. Thank you for the perfect health that is my divine inheritance. I am whole. I am well. I am grateful." Do this tonight. Do this tomorrow night. Do this every night. Not as a chore, not as a desperate measure, but as a sacred ritual, a nightly communion between you and the infinite intelligence that created you, sustains you, and is perfectly willing and able to restore you to the wholeness that is your birthright. Many who have practiced this simple technique consistently report changes that they describe as nothing short of remarkable. Energy returns, sleep deepens, chronic discomfort fades. A sense of vitality and aliveness that had been missing for years begins to reassert itself. These are not guarantees, for every individual's journey is unique and unfolds according to its own divine timing. But the principle is sound, the law is real, and those who apply it with patience, sincerity, and faith often find that their body responds to the new instructions with the same faithfulness with which it responded to the old ones. As we draw this teaching to its close, I want to speak directly to your heart. I want to speak past your intellect, past your doubts, past your carefully constructed defenses against disappointment, and speak to the part of you that knows. Because there is a part of you that knows. There is a part of you that has always known. Beneath the layers of conditioning, beneath the accumulated fears, beneath the voices that told you that limitation was permanent and decline was inevitable, there is a knowing. A deep, quiet, indestructible knowing that you are more than what appears on the surface. That your body is more than a collection of parts subject to random malfunction. That the power within you is more than sufficient for any challenge, any condition, any circumstance you will ever face. That knowing is a voice of the infinite within you. It is a spark of the divine that was planted in you before you took your first breath. It has never wavered. It has never dimmed. It has been waiting, with infinite patience, for you to turn your attention toward it, to acknowledge it, to trust it, to surrender to it, and to let it do through you what it has always been designed to do. Luke 17, verse 21 says, "The kingdom of God is within you, not above you, not distant from you, not accessible only to saints and prophets and extraordinary beings. Within you, here and now, in this moment, in this breath, the kingdom, the realm of infinite possibility, of perfect health, of divine wholeness, is within you. It has never been anywhere else." And the moment you truly accept that truth, not as a nice idea but as the most fundamental reality of your existence, everything begins to change. The outer world rearranges itself to match the inner conviction. The body reorganizes itself to reflect the new belief. The healing that seemed impossible becomes not only possible but inevitable. You are a being of infinite worth, created by an intelligence of infinite wisdom, sustained by a power of infinite capacity. Nothing that has happened to you, nothing that has been said to you, nothing that has been done to you, can diminish the truth of what you are. You carry within you the same creative force that formed the stars, that sculpted the mountains, that fills the ocean and paints the sunset. That force is not abstract. It is not theoretical. It is alive. It is present. It is personal. It knows your name. It knows your need. And it is answering you right now, in this very moment, as you listen to these words and feel their truth resonating in the deepest chambers of your being. Go forward from this moment with a new awareness. Go forward knowing that your body is a temple of living intelligence, not a fragile shell awaiting its inevitable decline. Go forward knowing that the thoughts you think and the feelings you feel are not trivial or inconsequential, but are creative forces that shape your physical reality in real and measurable ways. Go forward knowing that the subconscious mind within you is the most powerful healing agent in existence, and that it is ready, willing, and able to respond to your faith with manifestations of wholeness that will astonish you. Go forward knowing that you are loved beyond measure, supported beyond comprehension, and equipped beyond anything you have yet imagined. The healing power is within you. It has always been within you, and it will never, ever leave you. These teachings are offered to you as inspiration and education, drawn from the timeless philosophy of subconscious mind science and the universal principles of faith and belief that have been explored by thinkers and teachers throughout the ages. Every story shared in this teaching was created as an illustration of these principles at work, offered in the spirit of instruction and encouragement. What you have received here is original reflection on ideas that belong to all humanity. The idea that your inner life shapes your outer experience, that faith is a creative force, and that the intelligence within you is worthy of your deepest trust. These words are not a substitute for the guidance of qualified professionals in any area of your life. They are a companion to your own inner wisdom, a reminder of what the deepest part of you already knows. Take what resonates with your heart, apply it with sincerity and personal discernment, and may the infinite power within you unfold in your life in ways that exceed your most beautiful expectations. You are whole, you are held, you are healed in the mind of the infinite.